Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and well, today we're going to be talking about a few of the new reveals for San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know if there is going to be anything else revealed. I think these were really the only reveals. We didn't get much. We got a few new Hammond collection small figures, and then everything else was things that we already knew were coming for a while now, and we already had some images for, and really weren't too interesting, unfortunately. I do hope there's more, but again, we're going to talk about the ones that we have here, and then I have a few other things I want to talk about afterwards, relating to the Hammond collection, mainly just species I think I would like to see. Not even all species that need to be included or that really should be included, just really stuff that I want to see in there. Anyways, first off, we have Dryosaurus, and I feel like I'm the only person that dislikes this thing. I feel like almost everyone else talks about how it's actually pretty good, and personally, I think it's actually pretty bad. I'm just looking at the general body shape. I think the legs and arms are decent, and maybe the neck. Everything else is pretty bad. The tail looks way too short and just too rat-like, I guess. The body looks too bulky, and the head. Don't get me started on this thing's head. I know I had some people saying maybe it's just because these are the prototype images, it looks weird. But I don't know about you, but this thing looks like it eats human flesh. This doesn't look like a dinosaur in the slightest. This looks like absolute nightmare fuel. Also, there's people saying that it doesn't have jaw articulation, but I believe it actually does. I think the lower jaw does actually close up into the upper jaw, but this thing just looks really freaky. So, yeah, again, just looking at it compared to an actual Dryosaurus, I know it's at an angle and we can't get a too good of a look at it, but just from what I've seen, this thing looks absolutely horrible. And again, I could be wrong. Also, if we do go back to the other images, let me do real fast. You actually can see the colors on one of them. It kind of has a whitish tan head with brown speckling throughout the whole body and kind of a green colored torso and tail and darker green on the legs and end of the tail. It's kind of a weird design. I think the color scheme is pretty good though. The actual sculpt is very bad. If this creature was in the main line, I feel like it would look way better with the sculpt, especially if they gave it this paint scheme. Again, also, just looking at the head, it's too big. I know it's because of the articulation and a lot of proportions get kind of thrown off with the Hammond collection, especially with the small figures, since they have to kind of be changed up, but man, this Dryosaurus looks off. Also, I want to mention all three of these species are novel species instead of movie species, which I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, but anyways. Next we have the Ornitholestes, which is the one almost everyone is kind of trashing on. Almost everyone hates the Ornitholestes, when I'd say this is the decent one. Dryosaurus, I think, looks significantly worse. And again, I'm not saying that the Ornitholestes is great or anything. I just wouldn't say it's absolutely atrocious. I'd honestly say it's on par with most of the other small figures from the Hammond collection. Most of these small figures, I haven't gotten any of them since most of them look bad. The Dimetrodon, I don't think I ever saw in stores, or if I did, I only saw it once and didn't pick it up that one time. Pyroraptor is one that I actually really did want to get, but never came across it in stores, and now it's out of stock and impossible to get a hold of. Though if I do stumble upon it at some point, then I'll definitely pick it up, because that's the only small figure I think actually looks good. And then we have the Scutosaurus, which I was going to get originally, though I did decide just not to get it. I don't really know why. I think I just prefer the mainline one, and it's not horrible, but also not the best. Generally, every other one I'd say looks almost pretty much atrocious. I think that some of the newer ones do look kind of good, like the newer Raptors, like the Velociraptor Tiger and Velociraptor Blue, I think are passable enough, they're good enough, I guess. And then I'd say also the Stygimoloch, I haven't seen too much of it, but from the stuff I have seen, it looks great. And then also I'd say the Troodon is both really bad and really good at the same time. I don't even know how to explain it, but it does. And generally, I think that the I just don't think the small figures look very good. I think they just all have really bad proportion issues, and Mattel really needs to work on these ones a lot. Also, I have a lot of people talking about the Sickle Claw, saying thinking Ornitholestes is a Dromaeosaur, or saying that they got it horribly wrong by giving it a Sickle Claw. But the Sickle Claw is actually accurate somewhat. Well, pretty much the Ornitholestes actual fossil, we believe that it had a sickle claw, or at least had a elongated claw. It's kind of tough to say since I believe that part of the animal is kind of fragmentary, and we don't know 100% for sure whether Ornitholestes had a sickle claw or if it just had a longer inner claw, or maybe it even had regular theropod feet, but I believe that it would have had some sort of unique kind of inner claw. So the sickle claw is actually somewhat reasonable. That's because Ornitholestes possibly had it in real life. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. On the bottom I have in the middle we have accurate Ornitholestes. On the right we have the actual figure we got for the Hammond collection. And then on the left we have one with a depiction of it with just a little bit more of a longer claw instead of a sickle claw. Again, this is not Mattel's fault. This actually is possibly right. Another thing that a lot of people have issue with is just the general sculpt, which I think the sculpt actually looks pretty decent. I honestly, two things I would change on it is just making the shins less, well, tiny and just kind of bulking them up a little bit, I guess. And actually maybe the feet, changing the proportions of that as well. And then also the head looks horrible. Outside of that, I think this one's actually pretty solid. And honestly, don't get why people hate this one, especially compared to the Dryosaurus, which I think looks so much worse. Also, apparently this thing was green in the novels, and I think that would have actually been way cooler with giving it just green with green stripes. And it also has cell feathering on its tail and on the top of its back. Definitely a figure I'm skipping out on. I'm probably going to skip out on most of these, but yeah, I think that the Ornitholestes is not as bad as people say. Next, we have the Mussaurus, which, or Mussaurus, or something like that. I don't know. I know its name means mouse lizard, but that's about it. Again, another species that appeared in the novel, but I think back then we thought that Mussaurus was actually a very small dinosaur, but later we found out that the very small specimens we were finding were actually juveniles, and that it was a bit bigger, though it is still pretty small even for a sauropodomorph. And yeah, I originally thought this was Plateosaurus and was somewhat disappointed since, again, I kind of wanted Plateosaurus in the main lines, but this is not Plateosaurus, so yeah, I think this does work for Mussaurus, and this is the only one I actually think looks pretty decent and I might actually get. So, yeah. Generally, here's a depiction of the accurate animal. It's actually most likely bipedal, like a lot of sauropodomorphs. Though, again, this is based off a more inaccurate depiction, so it is quadrupedal. Though, again, I think this one might actually look better once we get better images of it. Here's an image of it, like at least a fan rendition of what the animal may look like, since it's only in the novel. And then there's also the Walking with Dinosaurs Plateosaurus I have here, just to show why I kind of thought it was Plateosaurus at first. But, yeah, I think this one's actually pretty decent. Don't have much to say on it. I think generally the proportions are pretty good, possibly. I think the tail might be a bit too short, though that might just because of the angle. And then I also think the front limbs are a little bit too scrawny, though again, that might just be because of this image. I think this is easily the best out of all of them. So, yeah. That is generally just all my thoughts on those. And now I'm gonna try to do this part quickly, but knowing me, it's probably not going to be quick, but I am gonna try to speed run it, so sorry if I'm talking a bit fast in this next segment. But pretty much, I'm just gonna go through every creature that at least a lot of the creatures from the Jurassic franchise I'd like to see get included. And, yeah, we're going from I'm gonna go in order from the one I want the least to the one I want the most. So, starting things off, we have Juvenile Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Allosaurus. I know a lot of people dislike the Fallen Kingdom Allosaurus, but hey, personally, I really like this model more than the Battle at Big Rock one, more than the actual Dominion one, though less than the Jurassic World Evolution designs, and that one's actually really good. Anyways, I really like the Juvenile Allosaurus. I think it could be a nice medium figure, though probably my least desired. Next, we have Dracorex, we have Stygimoloch, and we have, what was the other one? Yeah, we have Pachycephalosaurus, and we also have some species from Lockwood Manor, and this basically is just all of those, but we don't have a figure of it. Could definitely see them doing this as just a random additional species. Next, we have Morris Intrepidus, though it's loosely based off the Dominion one. It's not a one-to-one recreation, but it's basically the Dominion one, but given slightly more accurate proportions and also put to the size of the real animals, since the one in Dominion is way too small. And then the legs are also too short in proportion to its body, and then also the head is a little bit too blunt. It should be a little bit longer. And if they change those, I think this could be a really cool figure, though, due to the variations of how it could go and also how Mattel's has some issues doing smaller figures. I have it down a little bit further. Anyways, next we have Lost World Jurassic Park Triceratops. This is one I personally would not buy, but I think would be really cool if they made it. Pretty much would just be a redemption for their old Triceratops. It would be the size of the new Stegosaurus that came out, so it would basically be Habitat Defender Triceratops size. It would have jaw articulation, have more of like a grayish green color scheme, and generally, again, just be based off the one from the Lost World. Next, we have Jurassic World Chaos Theory Suchomimus. As much as I love Suchomimus, I do have it a little bit further down, for reasons I'll explain later. If they based it off of the one from Chaos Theory, I'd like it to be based off the first one we saw with the more gray color scheme with the red splotches instead of the orange one, which has gotten several figures, but I think this could be a pretty cool figure, and honestly, most of the creatures I would want to see in the Hammond collection that are canon are actually from Chaos Theory and Camp Cretaceous, since I think they would get really cool figures. Anyways, next, we have Jurassic Park 3 Pteranodon. They have Geostembergia, so just do Pteranodon. Honestly, the only thing they really need to change is give it a different head sculpt and then also work on the ability to be able to stand, because the Geostembergia cannot do that to save its life. Otherwise, this could be a pretty cool figure, and depending on how it came out, I'd probably get it. Next, we have Nasutoceratops. Just a random ceratopsian, kind of just another, again, we don't really have many ceratopsians, but this could work as a good medium one, and just Nasutoceratops is a really cool looking ceratopsian from this franchise, probably one of the coolest, and yeah, anyways, the Pseudoceratops would just be pretty cool. Though there are some creatures I desire more than it. Next we have Teratophonius. This thing has no figures for some reason, but it had about 0.2 seconds of screen time as a dead corpse in the movie, so you know what that means. It's perfect for the Hammond collection. So yeah, this would be pretty cool, though. Compared to other medium theropods, it could be a bit boring, so that's why I did put it a little bit lower down. But if this was done well, honestly, I would probably love this figure. Next, we have the Jurassic World Rebirth Velociraptor. I don't really like any of the any of the Hammond collection raptors, with like the Tiger Raptor being one of my favorite raptors in the films and in the toy line, and even then I skipped out on it. But if they could make a good raptor figure, then make one of the Rebirth Raptor. If they did that, then I would easily buy it and it'd be really cool. But if it wasn't good, then this would probably be at the bottom of my list. But anyways, next we have Jurassic World Chaos Theory Monolophosaurus. It is another small one, but I think they could probably do this one and make it look a little bit decent. If it was done well, then I would definitely love this one. And yeah, though it does kind of blend in with the other smaller figures. Anyways, next we have Herrerasaurus. They did throw it on from, well, Jurassic Park the game, so why not Herrerasaurus? Another one that could be really cool, though. Yeah, honestly, don't know if it would have some issues because of it being a small figure, but if they gave it a good paint scheme, I think this game could be really cool if they at least also give it good proportions. Next we have, I don't know how to pronounce this one, but this one would be really cool. Also, if they base the colors off of this fan rendition of the animal, this could be absolutely awesome. Definitely has like a medium ankylosaur. Honestly, this thing would just be really cool, especially again with these colors, with like kind of like gradient teal color would be really cool. And again, it appeared as a corpse for like all of 3 minutes, so you know, perfect for the Hammond collection. Next we have the Dominion Parasaurolophus, also in the same size range as the new Stegosaurus. Honestly, I just love the Dominion Parasaurolophus, and we have not gotten a good figure of this thing as an adult, let alone we haven't even gotten a good look of this thing as an adult in the films, outside of it being a corpse in, well, you know, Jurassic World Rebirth. So yeah, I would just love to see this thing, specifically this Parasaurolophus though. Also, we haven't gotten another Parasaurolophus since the original. I also forgot to mention I'm not doing any creatures that already got a figure, like redos of figures, with one exception in the honorable mention. But anyways, Dominion Parasaurolophus would love to see this thing. Would pick this thing up immediately. Just have a massive articulated Parasaurolophus figure. Next we have the Chaos Theory Ornitholestes. Honestly, you could swap this with the Parasaurolophus, depending on how these were done. I think this would be a good medium herbivore, and honestly, I just think that these guys are underrated and kind of disappointing. We only got one figure for Ornitholestes, and it's kind of not completely ruined, but kind of tinted because they have a tire switch on the side of it. Also, the colors is completely wrong. Though I recently realized after looking at some concept art for Ornitholestes, it's probably based on one of the outdated concept art. There is one with a color scheme that's almost identical. If I remember during editing, I'll put it up. It has like a green color scheme, and I think that this one is what they based it off of. But anyway, the one from Chaos 3 with the more purple color scheme would be pretty cool. Next, we have Jurassic Park Novel Dilophosaurus. If we're doing novel species, just give us the Novel Dilophosaurus. If you look up online, Jurassic World Amber Collection Dilophosaurus repaints, there's a lot of them that are of the Novel Dilophosaurus, and that is literally perfect. Just keep it in that scale. Honestly, I wouldn't even be mad if they just reused that figure and maybe gave it like quills or something, or heck, if they just kept it the same, removed the frill accessory, and then just gave it the novel colors done very well. I would just love Mattelgers to do that. That would just be perfect. Anyways, next we have the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Smilodon. This has basically two scenarios. Either it comes out as a really cool articulated Smilodon figure, or it comes out looking like a very, very, very like deformed and like ugly looking version of Daniel Tiger. I don't even know how to explain it. This thing would go either very well or very bad, just depending on how they decide to depict the Smilodon. Though, assuming it came out well, this is probably I'd probably put it possibly even higher in the list, but just because of the uncertainty, I'm putting it here. Also, it wouldn't be as weird as putting it in the main line, since the Hammond collection is kind of already weird with the figures they put in there, so yeah, Smilodon. Next, giant Edmontosaurus figure. Either put this thing in the size range as the large theropods, or even if they put it in the Stegosaurus size range, either one works. I think it'd be cool if they did the Parasaurolophus in the Stegosaurus size range and put this thing in the absolutely massive size range, basically having to be the size of a Rex figure. But just based off the website colors of the Edmontosaurus, this thing would be absolutely amazing. Next, this is why I have Suchomimus down here. Honestly, this could also swap with the Edmontosaurus, but yeah, this Suchomimus based on the website design, make it more slender and just have it the more blue and yellow color scheme. This thing would be awesome, and I would love this thing. Next, we have Jurassic Park Novel Pterodactylus. Give it kind of a red color scheme like a lot of designs that I see, at least art renditions of this animal. This could be really cool, especially if they make it stand, and hey, they could probably even make this a small pterosaur. Next, we have Jurassic Park novel Euoplocephalus. Again, depending on how these are depicted, they could really swap. This kind of depiction of the animal that the artist did, this specific design for the Jurassic World design would be really cool with the black and orange. Just would work out really nice. And honestly, I think the Jurassic Park 3 Ankylosaurus was one of their better Hammond collection figures, so I think a Euoplocephalus could be really cool if done well. Also, I just like the Hammond collection, just a good spot to put this creature. Next, we have the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Nothosaurus. Again, another creature that could probably swap with the Euoplocephalus, but yeah, the Nothosaurus, we did get a Nothosaurus figure, which looks amazing, though it doesn't look perfectly screen accurate to the one we got in Chaos Theory. This just also feels like another creature they put in the Hammond collection for some reason, and honestly, just, again, I feel like if done well, this could be a great figure. Next, we have Dunkleosteus. Dunkleosteus ended up not as far on the list as I was expecting. This is actually way further down than I was expecting to put it, but again, if the Dunk is done well, this is already an amazing figure. Though personally, I think I prefer a mainline Dunkleosteus over a Hammond collection one. And I kind of think it'd be interesting to see whether they would go with the shorter or the longer version. It'd be cool if they did maybe the smaller Dunk, maybe just even as a smaller figure in the Hammond collection, and then did the more long Dunk, like the more outdated one that they went with for Jurassic World Evolution for the mainline. Maybe give it make it a gigantic Thrasher figure. Anyways, I love Dunkleosteus and needs to get a figure. Next, we have Jurassic Park the game Tylosaurus. This one could possibly also swap with the Dunkleosteus. Again, this one just be really cool, and honestly, I wouldn't even be mad if they did, unlike the Troodon where they tried to mush two designs together and it didn't quite work, I wouldn't be too mad if they actually did more of like a paleo-accurate Tylosaurus, maybe give it a few of the spines on the top of its neck, and then just give it this color scheme and pattern. If they did accurate, I think this one would go higher up on the list, though, just with the Jurassic Park the game Tylosaurus design. Despite me loving this thing, I still think it would still not rank as high, and honestly, just this is a really cool figure that I would love to see them make. I just want, even if they did a mainline Tylosaurus, I would love that as well. Anyways, next we have the Jurassic World Dominion Quetzalcoatlus. If this thing can stand, then it will be the best Quetzalcoatlus figure known to man. The Rebirth one holds that title, so now the only thing holding it back is that it's the Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus. If it was this beautiful design, then would be a 10 out of 10 figure, and it could be a 10 out of 10 Hammond collection figure. Also, make this thing not in the Therizinosaurus size range. Make it actually tall enough so that it can be taller than the theropods. But anyways, next we have one that I'm surprised even got on here, and the only hybrid I would put on here is Scorpius Rex. I want to slow down for this part a little bit, though, since I actually have some things I want to say here specifically about Scorpius Rex. First thing, this is the only hybrid that I think really should get a Hammond collection figure, especially now. I feel like I don't want this Hammond collection just to get flooded with hybrid creatures. I feel, even the mainline, I feel like the mainline, it balances out a little bit better since there's so many normal, non-movie, movie, and then hybrid creatures that I feel like it balances out well. But the Hammond collection, we get way less figures, and I feel like getting a bunch of hybrids at once, like Indoraptor and Indominus, feels like a waste since they already have good figures. Indoraptor already has the superposable figure, which basically is a Hammond collection figure before Hammond collection, and honestly, I think that works well enough for now. And we also have ones with better sculpts. We just don't have one with both of those things combined. I feel like it'd be a waste just to get that. Indominus Rex literally just got a new sculpt that is basically perfectly screen accurate. The only thing it doesn't have is super articulation. I think that works well enough for now. I feel like it'd be a waste to get one of those just right now. I feel like there's other things that'd be more interesting to get before that. And then no one cares about Spinoceratops, though admittedly I think it should also get a Hammond collector figure. Just make it like a medium, one of the more medium figures, maybe making it as an adult instead of a juvenile. That is like the only other one that I think could fit, but like very little people care about Spinoceratops. So yeah. Anyways, the mutants, which are literally just hybrids. The dragon, I don't like the dragon enough to say if it should get a figure or not, though technically it should. But again, I feel like it would also be a bit of a waste of space, though honestly all the small figures I don't think came out the best, so really take it or leave it if they put the dragon there. And Mr. Mutant I think would be the biggest waste since we already got a good figure for it and it just came out. And like, I feel like it's almost an insult at this point putting this thing as in with the dinosaurs. I feel like the hybrid somewhat could work, but Mr. Mutant already has a good figure. Just for now, I don't think we should get it. Maybe like 4 years when you get an articulated Mr. Mutant, but anyways, right now Scorpius Rex is the only one I think has enough valid reasons to get added in outside of Spinoceratops and maybe the dragon. Scorpius Rex has two figures and both of them are not the best sculpts based off the film. The only good Scorpius Rex figure is the one that I have on the thumbnail, which is the Jurassic Justin one, which happens to be not only limited edition, so you can't actually really get a hold of this guy even if you wanted to, and also it costs a mini fortune. I think it costs like $300 to $500, can't remember. Honestly, this figure is absolutely amazing, but wish there was a more affordable version of it. Honestly, Scorpius Rex needs a Hammond collection figure. Also, I'm just biased towards this thing since it's my favorite hybrid genetic monstrosity in the Jurassic franchise. So, yeah, Scorpius Rex, please. Anyways, now on to honorable mentions before we get on to the number 1. Scorpius Rex is probably my number 2. I like my regular creatures, but man, I like Scorpius Rex enough to put it as my number 2 creature. Now, for the honorable mentions, pretty much all of these are non-movie species. First, we have a marine reptile, could be pretty cool. Maybe a Plesiosaurus in like the small size range, or an Ichthyosaurus in the small size range, or even a Tanystropheus with a rubber neck in the small size range. I don't know why. I feel like Elasmosaurus, Plesiosaurus should have like articulated necks, but maybe kind of closer to the Therizinosaurus, except with more segments maybe. But Tanystropheus should have a completely rubber neck, so that it's just like with a metal wire in it, so it just bends. I think that would be really cool. Though, honestly, I honestly think it would also be really cool if they did the same thing with the Elasmosaurus and the Plesiosaurus. I think those could be really cool if they gave them just like a full rubber articulated neck. Honestly, now I'm kind of sold on that for the Elasmosaurus especially. Especially with, I really like playing around with like the Giganotosaurus' tail, because I think it has like a really good bendy tail. Would be really cool to see that with a Elasmosaurus. And then Ichthyosaurus I think would just be a good small marine reptile, and yeah, Ichthyosaurs just have zero representation in the toy line so far. A Shonosaurus would also be really cool, though I personally think that animal is a bit too big, and I think would be better suited for the main line. So yeah, as of now, Ichthyosaurus would be a cool addition. Also, plus, all of these have loose ties to the Jurassic franchise, except for like Tanystropheus and kind of Elasmosaurus. Anyways, next, as a Synapsid, I think it'd be cool to get Placerius. Could be a cool random one, same for Claudiorhynchus. Probably my least anticipated out of all of these if they were to get a figure, but yeah, anyways, the ones that I think would be the coolest to get a figure is Estamenasuchus, kind of like tied to the toy that we got of it from the Kenner line. Also be cool to see the species in the main line as well, but anyways, Inostransavia, or at least a Gorgonopsid, maybe Lycanops, or just as a Gorgonops or Gorgonopsid. Honestly, think it'd be really cool to either have it based off the Lycanops from the Jurassic Park toy line, or either have it based off of the Jurassic Park Institution Inostransavia, because man, that design looks absolutely awesome. You can kind of see it over there, just with the black, gray, and yellow, and the red eyes. Just, it works really good. I would like also a more accurate Inostransavia figure, and it'd be a really good way to get an articulated one. Mattel, please. That would be amazing. Probably my number 1 would be honorable mentions. Estamenasuchus is probably second. Oh, but all of them, actually, I'd say number 1 is Inostransavia. Number 2 would probably be all of the ones on the next slide, and then number 3 would be Estamenasuchus. Anyways, next, here are some amazing Hammond collection concept art made by this person. Honestly, they just made basically perfect Hammond collection figures. First, Carcharodontosaurus is the reason I didn't put it on my honorable mentions or in my main lineup, is because they are, again, I wanted to include it here with this concept art, which looks amazing. If Mattel makes a Carcharodontosaurus, please just give it the Jurassic Park Operation Genesis color scheme. The black color scheme with the red and gray markings would be perfection. Best large theropod. Just do like, this could be like the one more accurate Hammond collection figure if they're going to do a random species. This is probably like one creature I would want the most. Definitely up there. Australize is kind of a random pick, but just looking at this concept art, doing one that looks like this would be absolutely amazing. I didn't include any Rojasukians in this lineup just because, again, here we have the Prestasuchus, and honestly, this would be an absolutely stunning figure if they made. And then this last one is a sauropod I've never heard of before, but man, it looks awesome. I wouldn't be mad if they switched it out for something like Ankylosaurus or Saltosaurus instead, if they wanted something a little bit more recognizable. But hey, if they did something like this, I would not be mad. Mattel, please, please, please contact this person and ask them, like, just buy their concepts and make Hammond collection figures of them. These would be the best Hammond collection figures to date, and I would buy every single one of them. Saying it right now. Absolutely stunning. All of them are perfect. I would love a Rojasukian just in general. A Carcharodontosaurus, as long as it's based off of the Jurassic Park, the Jurassic Park Operation Genesis one, and hopefully the same size as the other theropods. And Australia, I also wouldn't be complaining about it. They did it really well. And then even some sort of small sauropod, whether it's this one, Saltosaurus, or just some sort of like smaller Titanosaur, would be really cool, especially since it could be in the Stegosaurus size range or even in the large theropod size range. Honestly, I would love to see one of those. And there's not really any of the film sauropods I want to see. I feel like Brachiosaurus was kind of enough, so I think a smaller one would be cool. But anyways, my last honorable mention is just re-release the Hammond Collection Irritator. This is the only one where I say I get a re-release, and not even a resculpt, just re-release this exact same figure. Yeah, this one basically personally just for me, because literally I missed out on this figure, didn't know it was an online exclusive, and yeah, I'm still mad about it. This is my favorite of the Hammond collection figures that has released, and I just love this thing. Mattel, give it a second chance. Release it in stores this time. Please, Mattel, I'm begging you. So, anyways, sorry I went fast through all those other ones. I kind of wanted to make this one a quicker, kind of shorter video. Sorry if I talk too fast in this video, but anyways, drumroll please for the last creature, and it is the Jurassic Park novel Carnotaurus. Man, if they just make this thing's design look similar to the arcade one, that's all I want in life. That's literally it. Make it like a medium-sized figure like the Allosaurus size range or the other Carnotaurus. This is it. I know that they made the 3 novel creatures, and then I thought about it for 2 seconds and realized, oh my goodness, please Mattel. This would just be the best, and probably the best Hammond collecting figure of all time, at least in my opinion. I love this Carnotaurus, probably my favorite creature in the entire franchise, including games, books, movies, and possibly even figures as well. I would just love if Mattel made a figure of this thing. Again, don't go too crazy on the design. Don't make it too similar to the movie design. Again, do more of the arcade design. I feel like that is a good balance between accuracy and whatever the monstrosity in the film is, and the actual game and book is. Also, I know I had some people actually questioning how the heck they would do the color changing part of it. I personally don't think they have to. I know they have the color changing paint that they use on the color reveal dinosaur figures, and I feel like if it was in the mainline, if they do a mainline version of this creature, it could work there, but in the actual Hammond collection, just give it regular green patterns. And if you know how to use green screen, if you do like an animation of it and everything else in the screen is not green, I feel like you could also do an animation with it there. And just have it kind of do its typical bobbing back and forth. Honestly, just be really cool. I just would absolutely love to see a Hammond collection Carnotaurus. This one is definitely on my personal bias, but yeah. Back to the 3 figures that we had revealed. They're personally a bit disappointing for me. I think the Mussaurus was pretty decent, but the other 2 I would either heavily remodel them so that they look more like their book appearances, or just completely scrap them and have something else. I do hope that there's more getting revealed. I think they have, like, today and tomorrow they could have revealed more stuff. And I believe that, if I remember correctly, let me actually go take a look at this. This was something I found out about after making all these slides, but I believe I'll probably have to put it in through an editing, but yeah. There was a Jurassic World Mussaurus figure that was like a new sculpt. It's not the Bite and Blast Mussaurus sculpt, but at the same time, it's not the old Jurassic World Mussaurus sculpt. This might actually be a new figure or a prototype for the Bite and Blast Mussaurus, or just some scrap Mussaurus figure. Again, I'll just put it in. It looks interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I actually kind of hope that this does release. And even if it, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think it's a prototype? Do you think it's real? Would you get this figure if it actually released? Honestly, I heard some people, apparently people have been saying it might even be a Hammond collection version of the Jurassic World Mussaurus. Anyways, guys, what's your thoughts on that? Hopefully I'll be able to find more about that soon, and we'll see if it's actually going to be releasing or if it's just a prototype, but yeah. Anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on the new Hammond collection figure? What are your guys' thoughts on my roster of creatures? I know some of them might just be random or maybe shouldn't be there, but hey, it's my personal bias. What would you guys put in if you were doing on your personal bias, or even just if you want to do like objectively stuff that really needs to be in the Hammond collection? What creatures do you think should be included? What are your thoughts on non-movie species like novel creatures or creatures that have like no reason to be there at all? Anyways, again, not my favorite though. I think at least Mussaurus was pretty decent. I really don't know how to pronounce the things. I'm just gonna call him Mussaurus. But yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video, and goodbye.